Welcome to DSTV. So today I'm meeting Dhruvil Patel. He's actually Dr. Dhruvil Patel at the University of Chicago Hospital. He's doing a residency here. So nice to meet you, man.
Too.
Nice to
you
meet
too.
you.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to meet you so that you can tell us, like, how do you become a doctor?
Yeah.
Many of our viewers have been asking.
It's a good question. I definitely think the medical system in Canada or the United States is a little bit different than the rest of the world. But here you have to do at least a 4-year undergraduate degree. There are some programs where out of high school you can apply for a 7-year program where you do 4 years of your undergraduate degree, or 3 years, I'm sorry. And then after you meet certain metrics, including your medical college admission test, the MCAT, and a GPA minimum, you can then go straight to the medical school for that particular university.
So what is generally what is the GPA minimum?
Yeah, it's a GPA minimum often ranges, but it's a lot of factors. I know that the goal is always to have as high of a GPA as possible, comfortably 3.8, 3.9, 4.0 if you're able to, and then doing very well on your medical college admissions test, the MCAT test. That's the score on that is out of about 500 and it's been a long time since I've done this. I think 528 or 526, one of them. But a lot of students aim to have anything from 515 or beyond. But it's also multifactorial. There's things like including being able to volunteer at medical institutions so you can justify and understand what you're getting into, doing research projects, other extracurriculars that are part of your application. But very clearly, a lot of medical students, prospective ones, they'll do a 4-year undergraduate degree. That's the most common.
So what did you do and which school did you go to?
Yeah, I went to Wayne State University. I did an undergraduate degree in biochemistry, molecular biology, and public health. So I did a double major. I was interested in both those topics.
So that is in Detroit, Michigan.
In Detroit, Michigan at Wayne State, where I met you.
Where we met, in the lab.
We're part of, when I was building my application and also meeting the requirements for my degree, I wanted to learn how to take an insight and study it scientifically and be able to disseminate that data. And I think your lab, Dr. An's lab, I had a privileged opportunity to work in a scientific environment that was basic science. So actually learning the skills of pipetting, mass spectrometry, HPLC.
You learned a lot, some of which maybe you don't even need now.
I mean, probably not most of them, but I think I garnered an appreciation for how the scientific process works and how difficult it can be. I think a lot of my philosophies as a physician is I want to be able to treat the patients, but then also generate insights that would be useful for patients. And the only way you're going to do that is through the scientific method, you know? And with my 4-year degree, which is what most common people do after they apply to medical school, but a lot of individuals in the United States...
So when did you graduate at Wayne State?
I graduated 2019.
2019.
But you apply you can easily apply between your 3rd and 4th year of undergrad. That's usually when people do, so that they can take the 4th year to do their interviews. And
when did you apply?
I applied 2018. I believe.
Okay, so during in your 3rd year?
Yep, in my 3rd year. And then if you get in, then you can immediately finish your undergraduate degree and go, but a lot of individuals don't get admissions. And
so when did you do your MCAT?
My MCAT I did in the summer between my 2nd and 3rd year, so around 2017. And then
that was pretty early.
It was early. A lot of individuals tend to do it in their 3rd year. So for me, it would have been 2018, but I decided to do it in the summer because I took no summer classes. And my friends also wanted to study at that time. So it was a great community that we had.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, so after that, you went to med school at the same school?
At Wayne State University as well. I think for me...
So you started in 2019 or 2020?
I started the summer of 2019.
2019.
Yep. But for me, being a Canadian international student...
So, so for the record, so you were in Canada, but you used to cross. Tell us that experience.
So
because some people are wondering, like, how is this Canadian studying in the US? So
a very good question.
You are living in a border city?
Yeah, so I lived in a border city, Windsor, which is right across the border from Detroit, Michigan in the United States, where Wayne State University is. It's in downtown. I was on an F1 student visa. And with an F1 visa, you're either allowed to come to the country every day. So I would just cross our bridge or tunnel because I stayed with my parents in Windsor. Or you can move for the purposes of your studying, which a lot of other people did too.
Guys, if you are watching from Africa or India or elsewhere, realize here that Dhruvil was Canadian, but he was coming to the US on an F1 visa every day, back and forth. And
also I'll say I have a very good friend. His name is Ahmed. He's from Nigeria.
Oh, Ahmed.
Yeah, you remember, right?
I remember him.
Yeah,
I saw he's a doctor now.
Yeah, he was in my medical school class.
You went to the same school?
He went to the same school as I did. He was also an
Ahmed
F1
was
student.
quiet, but that boy was smart as well.
Yeah, you should reach out to him too.
Yes, I will. I mean, he texted me like about a few months ago.
Yeah, and I think
Ahmed,
he's in Michigan. I think he's a radiology resident there.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to find Ahmed. Yeah. We wrote up, I think he's on one of my papers.
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, good to know. So you used to commute every day from Canada, Windsor to Detroit.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Even when you were in med school.
Med school, I decided to move to the United States because a lot of the times, and this is the funny part, sometimes they would pull me in for security checks, which are part of policy, but it would be on my exam days.
So they pull you on security checks?
They have to. It's just part of their policy. Oof. Wait for that.
We are at a hospital, so...
But, and this is just a part of border policy to make sure that your documentation is intact and all within law. But I thought that, sometimes that would actually be a little bit scary for me because it would be on exam day. So I would arrive to my exam late. So instead, I decided for medical school, because under F1 visa, you're allowed to move there to pursue your education. I moved there. Yeah.
So eventually you were tired of these security checks and just want to live
It was
more about convenience and...
Exactly. I wanted to make sure that my education that I'm trying to pursue was as frictionless as possible. Mm-hmm. And I think that the opportunities I got at medical school there at Wayne State were fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. So how long is medical school?
Generally medical school is 4 years.
Yeah.
If you're choosing to do a double degree, as in a MD and a PhD, it can be 7 years. Or if you're choosing to do another advanced degree as a master's of MBA, business administration, an MBA, or an MPH, a public health master's, it'll be an extra 1 year, so 5. But for me, I chose to do the medical degree solo, which would be 4 years.
If you are counting, if you are viewing and counting, Dhruvil has now done 4 years of undergrad. He has a degree in a Bachelor of Science degree in biochemistry and molecular biology.
Yep, and
public health. That's a double major. Then now he's gone to medical school, same school. He's done another 4 years. Those are now 8. Keep talking, my friend.
Yeah, and then after that, I guess in undergrad, I had met now my wife. At that time, we were just talking. We were, I think, studying. We were in the same chemistry class. That's how we met.
Oh, at undergraduate
studying
level.
Together, exactly. And the undergraduate level, studying together as well. I think our relationship deepened when I was in medical school.
Mm-hmm. And what's her name?
Talk
to her.
Absolutely, I'll talk to her. So her name is Sonu. Dhruvil Patel. I met her in chemistry class. I think that we had a great time being friends. We had very similar values, but we were still really pursuing our own goals and making sure that we were able to get our professional goals intact. And after I got into medical school, I think, and she pursued her professional degree as well, I think our relationship really deepened. And by the time it was time for me to apply to residency, we had been married, and she chose to move to Chicago. So I thought that I would make it my utmost goal to move here. But over those years, I think she really taught me the value of not just being singular about pursuing your professional goal, having a professional success or being academically prowessed, having success overall. I think you have to have a balance on all aspects of life. And
she's not just a wife, she's a friend.
She's a life partner. She's one who's taught me to appreciate how much valuable it is to be with your family, how much necessary it is to balance all those aspects of life, your social, your family, your friends, so that each feed and empower your professional goals too. If you're satisfied there, then you can be satisfied here, and then you can actually care for a patient and to go above and beyond for them. I think that the lesson she taught me there...
After, you met in a chemistry class. Yes. What did she say? What did she study?
Yeah, she pursued a master's degree in health systems administration. So while the healthcare system, it's run in the front end by physicians and nurses who are treating patients. There's administration, there's billing, there's all the other economics involved in the hospital that a lot of physicians, it's tough for us to do our residency
you can't do
and
all
understand.
That, no.
So they help that. And her career is involved in advising and administering hospitals through her consulting network to be able to help them run more efficiently and be able to take care of patients with a high degree of satisfaction while balancing the needs of the physicians and the nurses so that there's not any dissatisfaction from their side. It's a very hard thing to do.
It is a hard thing to do.
You know, you're not going to succeed every time, but I think it's absolutely a necessary and vital role. And through her, I'm getting to understand that there is a business that's involved in medicine, there's an economics that is involved in healthcare, and that being able to be a complete physician and service patients, you have to have an appreciation and understanding of both, and she educates me on that often. Often I tell her she's smarter than me about life.
So, no, it's true. I think Dhruvil you are probably smarter than Dhruvil.
Absolutely, she is. And I will say that here too.
Excellent. And so you've done, Dhruvil, you've done, 4 years of medical school. Now you are at the University of Chicago. You've done another 2 years. So those are now 10, folks. Yeah. Those are 10.
So far.
So far. And no wonder you have a great partner, because it's a lot of school.
It's a lot of school. I think
you need that support.
And she has really demonstrated a lot of understanding and sacrifice. Because I will say, this career, this job, this training, it requires me often to go above and beyond at times, miss dinners, miss scheduling
events.
Night
shifts.
Night shifts, but I have to plan my rotations and my schedule 1 year in advance. So she then has to plan around and say, okay, this is when I'm going to have vacation with him, or this is when my family can have vacation there. She has sacrificed immensely, and I know that she will continue to for the rest of her life, because I've chosen this path. So I do anything that's required to make her as happy as I can too. It's a balance, and she's been pushing me to do the best that I can every step of the way, to pursue more opportunities every step of the way, despite it being hard for her. And what I tend to do is, if she pushes me to do it, then I will try to do it the best that I can.
This is more than love, folks. This is more than love. It's actually love for humanity, because to balance all this for the sake of being able to take care of patients is something that is very noble for both of you.
But nothing compares.
Nothing
compares when you have someone who comes to you and they thank you.
Wow.
They thank you because they have more years with their family.
Sure.
Or they've come into your hospital and their heart has stopped, and you bring them back, and then if their heart didn't stop for a long time and they come back and they're able to talk to you and spend more time with their family, they thank you. Or if there's a patient that comes in and you know that they will die, giving them a graceful death with everyone around them, prolonging their life so they can say goodbye to everyone in a very peaceful setting, they thank you. There's so many things in medicine that we consider to be a loss. You're not going to win every day. You're probably not going to win for every patient that you see. But the true wins there are the fact that you're able to at least guide and steward them. And all of that comes from putting your utmost that you can to develop the skills in places like this.
You're watching Diaspora Scholars TV, where we bring you stories about the journeys of scholars who've left different continents to come to the US to study, to pursue their careers, and indeed to save lives. Today, the story of Dhruvil Patel. Dr. Dhruvil Patel goes to this school over here. He's a resident doctor, and I can tell you, it's just amazing. You're a great guy, man.
No, you give me the opportunity to share my story, and I will be honest, I've learned a lot from you, from my time at the On Lab, from my time with really sympathizing and understanding what it means to be an international student versus someone from here.
Exactly.
I think, the concept of you're going to have to work double what someone else has to gain the same opportunities is true. But internally, you just have to accept that and pursue it. And I think that often pushes us towards a little bit more excellence and appreciation as well.
You said it all. Yeah. Excellent to keep on pursuing. So after your residency, what next?
My intention is to pursue a career in adult congenital heart disease. It's essentially individuals that are born with hearts that are not normal. Heart problems, they've required surgeries, their chest has been opened 3 or 4 times, and they're living now for 30, 40, 50 years, and they need a doctor who understands what happened when they were a child and see if we can continue to prolong their life and prevent the ramifications of things that help them prolong their life up until that point. Because now, in the world at least, there's actually more people living with congenital heart disease than there are people being born with congenital heart disease. The population is only increasing, and they need individuals to help service them. But it is a very specialized field, and it requires individuals who are wanting to spend a lot of time to get to that trading point. I feel personally my parents have sacrificed a lot. My wife has sacrificed a lot. I have sacrificed a lot.
You have sacrificed a lot.
But I think that I don't see myself as having any disadvantages that someone else would not. And so I feel like it's a duty of responsibility to pursue such things.
Wow. Yeah. So that's going to be fellowship. And then after fellowship, what next?
Yeah. Still fellowship.
Still fellowship.
One more. And then after that, what my end aim is to provide interventions for these individuals. So it would be an interventional cardiologist for adult congenital heart disease patients. So after all of that training, I think that kind of career, that specialized kind of career, would likely be at an academic institution. That's where most of these patients who are really sick come, so an institution like this. So I think for me, I would probably have an academic position with research being a part of it. And so I'd like to be an individual who practices clinically, but then also conducts research in this field. And the aim is to develop therapies for those patients.